actually, it's a very good car. So he's got a lot of potential there. I don't think he wanted to chuck away those points. So it was a massive shame for him. Pulled over in as close as he could to one of the exit points of the track, but they had to get a crane on. Well, they had to have a crane overhanging to pick that car up, which caused a safety car on lap 44. Now, I want to talk about the safety car, Alex. And what was quite nice to hear was, well, obviously we heard Hamilton on the radio. I said to my other half, as soon as the safety car came out, I was like, give it a lap. Hamilton will be on the radio complaining that the safety car is going too slow to warm those tyres, which obviously he did, and it gets a bit of a running joke. But it was nice to hear that the broadcast actually broadcasted Verstappen airing the same complaints, because usually it's just Hamilton being knocked about and being broadcasted about complaining about the safety car and that it's going too slow and his tyres aren't warm and his brakes aren't up to temperature. But it was good to hear Verstappen's opinion on it as well. And that, Verstappen's race engineer confirmed that Hamilton also was airing the same thoughts. I think Hamilton gets a lot of his radio messages broadcasted during the race, which it makes people love or hate him. Sometimes he comes across as a little bit whiny, but I think it was really good to hear Verstappen on the radio as well, asking for the exact same, because then it's just not Hamilton, is it? It's all the drivers. You read the transcripts at the end of the race, the drivers on the radio constantly asking their engineer for stuff. But it always seems to be Hamilton's radio which gets picked up and broadcasted. Interestingly, though, they were going around the track, waiting for Lando's car to be picked up and moved out of the way. A lot of cars had to unlap themselves. I think it was everyone past P4 or P3 potentially had to unlap themselves, which is obviously a tremendous amount of cars. But that caused a little bit of controversy, may I add, because actually we got Hamilton, Max, and Hamilton, Max, and Ricciardo, who are all driving behind the safety car with not going on optimum speed for a Formula 1 car. So their tyres are colder, their brakes aren't up to temperature, really suffering in those conditions. All the cars unlap themselves and then go arguably a racing speed back round to the grid, knowing that the safety car is going to come in the following lap. So you've got cars 4 to 15 at the time, because 5 cars had retired, now up to temperature, hot tyres, hot brakes, ready to attack the opening lap. And you've got the 3 cars at the front who are absolutely stone cold, and that was apparent when the race finally got underway. And Hamilton, despite the complaining, managed to get away quite well. But Max locked up into the penultimate corner, had a tiny little lockup, not an Alex Albon lockup, but had a tiny little lockup, and obviously managed to keep P2, and Ricciardo managed to keep P3, but only just. I mean, you could tell the difference in cars there. The racing point was quick and obviously had optimum temperatures, but it was, I don't know how I feel about that. Like, it's very odd.
Well, there's a couple of things there. Firstly, the safety car itself, I think it's a little debatable whether or not the safety car was totally necessary, given that the crane truck didn't actually have to come onto the track. It seemed like a VSC could have happened instead. It seemed like the sort of thing that the VSC was created for. Of course,
are you
bringing out the full
saying that
safety
the safety car was used to create a more interesting race, Alex?
Yes, I am saying exactly that. Yeah.
Oh, blimey.
And I don't think I blame them, though. I think that's kind of fair enough, really. It does make it more entertaining. I can't deny that when the safety car comes out, it does make things more entertaining. So I'm kind of not surprised that they did that. In a way, there's very strong arguments for both sides. I mean, the VSC just ensures that it can keep going in more the way that it was before. The safety car shakes things up. One of those is arguably more entertaining than the other, whereas the other is more true to the state of the race. I don't know. I find it hard to be annoyed that it was more entertaining, to be honest with you. I do think that there was an element of this will spice things up again when they decided to bring it out, rather than it being, this is a huge concern for safety, we must bring out the safety car. So I think there was an entertainment value decision being made there. But you mentioned obviously the team radios. We do have to be very careful with these team radios. Obviously, we get what we're given on the broadcast. And it's very easy to take some of it a bit out of context, when, especially when drivers get frustrated or angry and go, oh, well, they're just whining, and they all do it. They all do that on the radio. There's a lot of adrenaline going through their bodies. They're racing. They're obviously going to be emotional. And Hamilton is always pinpointed because he's Lewis Hamilton. He's the most famous figure, not just on the track, but in like the sport as a whole. He's an internationally recognized figure. Of course, he's going to get highlighted. People are going to see what he has to say. When in reality, it's an opinion shared by many of the other drivers as well because of the conditions, because of the temperature. Mercedes, of course, they have their DAS system that helps warm up the front tyres. He was able to use that. And you saw on the restart that he was able to get away a lot more comfortably going into those turns at the end and into turn 1 as well.
Not only did he get away, he was then able to weave on the straight in a safe manner to get temperature up into his tyres to brake efficiently into turn 1. And I thought, blimey, I tell you what, that's pretty incredible. They've just done a race restart and he's got enough of a gap to start weaving on the pit straight, which is arguably going to lose him time to maintain like a good braking like zone into turn 1. It was mad. When I saw that, I thought, blimey, I was like, that's a bit cocky. Well, not cocky, but
every weekend that Mercedes does something that's scary.
Yeah, I was just like, blimey, you've got such a lead in the space of 2 turns that you can safely, because you're not allowed to weave that much on a straight, to maintain tyre temperature. I was like, that's incredible stuff. Whereas Max is fighting Ricciardo behind him.